For this project, you will need a black sheet of paper, some paper towels, a ruler, a basket, and you will need to pick your pastels or your colored chalk. They're the same thing. The first thing that you want to do is pick which neutral color you want to use for this project. In my example, I will be using black, but these are the 5 neutral colors that you'll be choosing from. You will also need to pick 3 primary colors, the red, yellow, and blue. And you will also need the 3 secondary colors, orange, violet, and green. When you are working with pastels or colored chalk, you want to be careful not to press down too hard or hold the pastels too hard, because when you're holding them like a pencil, if you press down too hard, they will easily break in half. If you drop them, they're going to break. Definitely should not be throwing them across the classroom. Okay. On this project, you will use organic and geometric shapes and analogous and neutral colors. The pastels are your medium. The color wheel is really going to help you. The color wheel that we've made a few weeks ago. These will help you find your analogous colors and figure out what color you're going to use next. When you are creating those intermediate colors, you will overlap the primary and secondary color that is between them. So if I want to use yellow-orange, I'm going to overlap a yellow pastel with an orange pastel, and I'm going to blend it together. I want to warn you that messing with chalk or pastels is very messy. You're going to have to wash your hands at the end of class. Make sure that you're wiping down your tabletops at the end of class. I would remove any jackets, push up long sleeves, and wear an apron to help protect your clothes from the pastel getting onto them. Okay, let's get started. First thing that you're going to do is you are going to grab a ruler. You're going to take your neutral color and you're going to draw a border to leave space around the edge of your paper. You don't really have to measure, but you do want your border to be the same width all the way around. So if you need to measure to do that, you're more than welcome to do that. I am just going to eyeball it and go ahead and draw my border. Turning my paper. The reason I turn my paper is because it is easiest for me to draw a straight line towards me instead of changing the way that I draw my lines. Anytime you're working with pastels, you want to make sure that you are not dragging your hand onto the pastels, because then they're definitely going to spread across your paper. You should notice that when you are drawing your border, it is creating a lot of crumbs with the pastel on your paper. Do not blow them. You're just going to stand your paper up and tap it on the table like this, and these will be wiped up at the end of the class period with a wet paper towel. So if I drew my line too long and it crossed over into my border, that's okay, because you can take an eraser. So let's see right here. You can just take an eraser and erase that little bit right there. The first thing I want to do is smooth out my border. Just smoothing it out. Tapping off the excess pastel. Now I'm going to draw organic and geometric shapes to fill in my paper. You do not want your shapes to be too small. It will be difficult to fill them with analogous colors. We want to keep our shapes, let's say, larger than a softball. So we really should only have maybe 5 shapes, 5 or 6 shapes on our paper. So I'm going to start with a circle here. You do not need to press down hard. I'm not using a whole lot of pressure. Once I've got my first shape down, I'm going to use my finger, or you can use your paper towel to blend it out. I find it's easier to use my finger because the paper towel can take up more space. It can drag on the paper and it can blend in the other pastel that I have on my paper. So I'm just going to use my hand. Okay. I do not want you to copy the shapes that I'm using. I want you to fill your space with your own shapes. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, about 5 or 6 shapes should fill up your space. This one is going to be my most difficult shape to fill. Once you have drawn your shapes, you can go ahead and tap off the excess pastel and then blend out the lines for your shapes. You can go back over them if you need to add more to darken that line. But we can definitely darken the line after we've filled our shapes with our analogous colors. Now there's really any way that you can fill these shapes. The only rule is that you're using analogous colors. So I am going to start with yellow. I'm going to clean off my pastel to make sure there are no other old colors stuck to the part that I will be using. And that really helps prime the pastel because some of them, they don't want to come out smoothly unless that outer layer has been wiped off. And so that helps as well. What I'm gonna do is I am going to shade on the inside of this shape. I'm going to do that all the way around. Be careful not to go into the black. It's not going to be easy. From yellow, I'm gonna go to yellow green. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my green, clean off the end here. And I'm gonna overlap. It's starting to want to not come off. There we go. I'm going to turn the chalk. That'll help it get smoother. Okay, now you can either take a clean finger or fold your paper towel and carefully blend in Be careful not, if you get black on your paper towel, you don't want to blend it into your color. You just want to use a new clean spot of your paper towel. And I'm going to go back and forth here. I'm going to go back over my yellow. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take this. So I can create that yellow green. That's what I'm doing. I'm overlapping my primary yellow and my secondary green to create that intermediate yellow green. Now I'm going to smooth it out. I've got a lot of excess chalk on my paper, so I'm just going to tap the paper onto the table. Okay, once you finish blending out all of your pastel, you want to put your signature and the year. Okay, so after you finish blending out your shapes and your background, you want to take an eraser and you want to clean up all of the edges of your paper to make sure there are no smudges. You want to take a white color pencil and put your signature and the year on the bottom right hand corner. And then you want to grab a can of clear acrylic sealer and take it outside. You're going to either hold your paper at arm's length or you're going to lay it down in the grass. Take the can and spray a light layer, that's it, that's plenty, over your paper. Once you have sealed your paper, you're done. If you don't finish in one class period, which I don't expect you to, then you need to get a sheet of copy paper and lay it on top of your project between days so that the chalk doesn't get messed up and so that somebody else's paper doesn't get laid on top of yours and make a mess.